You want to know the fastest pick me up when you feel down? It is focusing on helping someone else. It is the best way to turn a really sour mood around when you find it hard to care. And since your child is doom scrolling like you are, it's also an opportunity to not only feel better, but to kind of flip the script on parenting from a vibe that feels more emotionally rewarding as opposed to emotionally wrecking. And I know I can imagine your facial expression and that you're thinking that's not possible. But by the end of this video, you will be motivated to shift from being distracted from your depressed mood to anticipating the thrill of being able to help your child connect to their feelings. Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I battled depression as a child, growing up in a home with immigrant parents who worked really hard to give us a better life, but who also left us to navigate any and all of our feelings in silence. And so when my boys were toddlers, I experienced, depression again. But this time, as a military family, when we were beginning to move, I decided to shift my focus to how they were feeling about the moves and took it as an opportunity to let them share how they were feeling and to give them vocabulary to help them to do that better. And I did that so that they wouldn't have to drown in their feelings the way I did as a kid. Now, you don't have to be a therapist to do that. I'm not. But it does take an ability to just look at the world through their lens and imagine how they are experiencing things, recognizing that everyone has it hard at some time or another, and letting your children know that you realize that they are one of those someones, that they have hard times too. And that helps you avoid hearing the "mom, you just don't get it," which I'm sure you've heard. How many times have you heard that or been given that silent side eye that said it all? It's understandable. I get it, the challenge that you may have in even coming out of your own feelings to help your child connect with theirs. You probably didn't grow up in a family where feelings were acknowledged, where trauma experiences were even recognized. And so you just pushed through and you figured, hey, my child can do the same. But there is a way to break the cycle of suffering in silence for both of you. When this is what all children are left to, it is no wonder they are depressed and anxious. They're anxious because they feel alone, ultimately. It doesn't matter how many times or who you're DMing or what comments you're leaving, you're still not with that person. You are alone in your house doing that. And so that anxiety from feeling alone and that depression from realizing that you're really not connected with people, that you're really not seen, you're really not known, you're really not loved. And there's a lot of physiology behind it as well. There's a way that your gut, your stomach, and your brain interact. And when that is off, you are more likely to have depression or anxiety, which explains why there will be children, and maybe your child complains of a lot of stomach issues that when you go to get it evaluated, they can't find a cause. Think about what it is that they are experiencing. And if you don't even know what kinds of things they're experiencing at school, start there. But you should also be thinking about, what is the environment like at home? What is the vibe that we have here? Is the reason I don't even know what's going on at school because they don't feel like they can tell me? Is the reason they feel like they can't tell me is because I'm not really around, or when I am around, I too am distracted. And so they feel like they are imposing. They feel like they're being a burden. And again, they're feeling like what they have to say doesn't matter because what they have to say, nobody's making room for it. And so these are the things that we have to start to consider, particularly like in that example, if you have a child who has a lot of stomach complaints, and it happens in little children. All of these, my tummy hurts, and it comes from nowhere. And it's not that they ate something different, and it's not like they have any other symptoms. And it goes and comes without any rhyme or reason. It does you well to start to talk to them about what feelings they are having, feelings that they might not have been able to say, and so they have swallowed them. And they are experiencing the depth of that in their stomach because they haven't had a place to say what it is that's going on with them, and be safe enough so that when they say it, you're not only paying attention, you're not overreacting, and you're not looking at it as blame or feeling guilty. Just make room for them to share what they have to say. And it's not even about always solving it, unless you are part of the problem, then that does need to be solved, or unless there's something in the home that is going on that you do need to address. But it is the ability to get things out Getting things out is very therapeutic. Hey, Mama Bears, I'm hosting a live here on YouTube for any of you who have questions about motherhood or how to help your family function better. You can scan the QR code or click the link below to join me. Any other information you need is on the screen, and I look forward to seeing you there. And one of the ways you can help your child is to give them language, because kids don't just come with a bunch of words to be able to describe. There are a plethora of feelings that somebody can feel, but we have tended to reduce them down to sad, mad, tired. But there are more words. There's disappointed, right? And so to be able to get them to describe, right? It's more than just getting them, we need to get them to describe what the events are that bother them, but then to ask them, okay, but how did you feel when that happened? And as they try to give words, sometimes you can offer, like depending on what they're describing, you can offer them a word. Oh, it sounds like you were really hoping it would go this way, but it didn't. So you were disappointed. They may be saying, I'm mad, but then you're able to say, oh, you were disappointed because you were really hoping that he would do that, but he didn't. So it's being able to give them language that later on, when they have something of a similar experience, they're able to use that word with you, and they will share that with you because you're the one that gave them that word. You're the one that taught them the word disappointed. And so they can trust you with that word now, and they can come back and tell you this story and use that word because they know that you understand. And now we are on the same page. And it's also great to encourage your children to write it out if they are old enough to write and you notice that they are feeling sad and you have tried talking with them and making room for them to share. And we make the room, but it doesn't guarantee that we can solve the problem. We are moms. We are not therapists, although we have to function in that way sometimes, it feels like, with our kids. But ultimately, some of the things that they go through, they have to work through. And one of the ways that they can do that is to write things out. I'm a huge journaler. I've given my kids journals, and I have encouraged them to, even after they have talked to me, to go ahead and write about whatever we just talked about. Again, because language is powerful in processing. Whether you say the words or write the words, you're getting the issue out. And that putting it someplace outside of you means that you're able to look at it and have a different perspective. You're able to see it for what it is and what it's not. You're able to, it might have seemed really large and big and menacing when it was just in you, but then when you write it and you read what you wrote, you're like, oh, okay, it's not as bad, or here's a way that I can manage it, or here's another way to look at it. But it's hard to do that when it just stays inside. So, mood disorders are a big thing that you can see in a home where there's an unhealthy family dynamic. The other thing you can see is your child has decreased self control. Now, that comes out in a few ways. It could be that they just say whatever. When they get emotional, they really get emotional, and they really are loud and expressive in ways that are not positive, in ways that are not respectful, in ways that are not at all controlled, because they have kept this thing inside of them, and the pressure has built up to where when they let it out, it is like opening opening a bottle of soda that has been shaken every day. Imagine opening that bottle of soda. What you get, you're going to get everywhere, because that has been held down for far too long, and they've had all they can stand. And as Popeye said, and I can't stand no more. And so you get that experience. It's also comes out in not being able to pay attention. They have very poor focus. They cannot control their focus. Where is that going to be a problem? Well, first of all, simply it'll be a problem just in talking with people, in getting things done that you need to do. There's a list of things that you have to do, but you can't focus, and so you don't get those things done. But hello, these kids are in school, and so they have a hard time paying attention in class. They got a lot of things on their mind, and the thing on their mind is nobody cares about me. And whether or not that's true, here's the thing I want you to understand. You're probably sitting there and you're like, but Vanessa, I do love my child. I love them very much. And I can't understand why they would think that, because even though you are saying it, what you are doing or not doing consistently is saying something else. And so a lot of times we're seeing, and another thing is lack of self control. So we're seeing them misbehaving being impulsive, getting into things they have no business getting into, things they know they're not supposed to be doing. And we are disciplining them for that, or we're yelling at them for that, or we are punishing them for that, not realizing we set them up for that because the home environment has been one that has been so negative, and sometimes negative in its silence, negative in its disinterest, negative in its lack of compassion, its disregard for people in the home, that, why should this child care about tearing up the house? Maybe if they tore up the house, somebody would pay attention. Maybe if they were misbehaving in school, and the teacher had to call you, maybe now you would be interested because you weren't before when he was or she was just quiet and suffering in silence. But now that he's made some noise, now you want to pay attention. Is it the attention they want? No, but it's the attention they'll settle for because they have been starved. They have been starved for attention. We tend to think about, oh, he need a lot of attention. Well, he needs some attention. He does need some attention. He does need regular attention. He does need your investment and your care. He does need that. And if he has that, then he's more able to regulate himself. This is what we're talking about. Your child would be more likely to have a lack of self regulation because there has been no one outwardly who offers any regulation. And I don't even just mean rules and regulations, I mean, I can help you regulate yourself by showing you that I care about you, right? That then teaches you that you should care about you. Because I care about you, I want you to understand that when we're at the restaurant, you can't run around and go to everybody's table and touch their food because I care about you, and I don't want somebody talking to you crazy, and I don't want you to get put out of the restaurant and then you can't eat your food. You see what I'm saying? So when you show that you have enough interest to teach your child and instruct your child, and you explain to them that this is an expression of love, then they want to regulate themselves. Now, if regulating your feelings is something that you find challenging, you're not going to be able to lead your child somewhere that you're not willing to go. And so, journaling is a great exercise for you too. And it can be something that brings you two together because you are modeling for your child what it's like for you as an adult to realize that you have a challenge and this is how I'm going about meeting it. And you are showing them that this is what they can do for themselves, even at their age, rather than be overwhelmed by their feelings, to look at them, to write them out, to talk about them, to recognize them so that they don't have the power over them that they may feel like they do right now. And it is part of the parenting experience that you haven't arrived, but you are further along the journey than they are, showing them that there is a way to do life where you can feel victorious even when you're facing hard things. And journaling can be that thing that you have in common where your child knows, hey, mom writes out her feelings in this book, and I have a book where I can write mine out too. And we're both safe to do so. Yeah, get a journal. And until next time, I really want you to remember that when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you are the woman for the job. Take care.